everybody, and welcome to the TREW Show.
Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Nick. This is Leslie.
Well, today we wanted to start off with just a quick homage to Steve Jobs. It's all over the news everywhere, and we're not going to belabor it, but it's something that sort of affects everybody's life. And I know for me, this is my office right here. So Steve Jobs and his work has completely altered the way that I operate and function as a realtor.
Absolutely. I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't at least mention it, because Steve Jobs has changed, the world. He changed technology, and it's certainly changed the way we do real estate.
Absolutely.
It's made our life a lot easier.
Mobile real estate is where it's at right now. That's
Absolutely.
what every agent is looking to become more adept at using mobile tools, and in particular, the iPad is a huge tool that we're all going to help make that happen. So. With my sympathies to Steve Jobs' family and my greatest respect to his life's work.
Absolutely.
I appreciate, all that he did and what he's brought to my workspace.
He's made our lives easier. Thank you,
Yes.
Steve Jobs.
So our first segment today is about buyers' home inspections. And Nick, you were saying before that you have your buyer clients sometimes ask you if this is an absolute must. Couldn't they maybe save some money?
Exactly. I've heard this many times. People want to cut corners. And, inspections is not a place where we would recommend cutting corners. It's actually not as expensive as people may think. And if you look at in the whole scheme of your investment, where it could be $100, $200, $300, or up $1,000 purchase, spending $400, $500, $600 on inspections,
And that's typically the high range. I mean, depends on how big the house is or what kind of property, if it's more than one unit, or if there's high square footage, sometimes it might be a little more, but you're talking in the ballpark of the $500 and $600 range. And I'll tell you, I would think you'd have to be nuts not to have one. It's the best insurance on your investment that you can possibly make, to make sure that you're making a purchase that you're comfortable with and that there's no surprises.
And the difference could lie whether you have septic or well, which become additional expenses as far as what you would check for. Typically, we recommend, absolutely get a structural inspection. That is a must.
Yes.
For a typical single-family home in our area, it's somewhere between $300 and $400. I would guesstimate.
Yeah, and there's tons of qualified inspectors in the area, and in all areas, I'm sure, and wherever you live, your agent can recommend the ones that are, most reputable in the area. But the structural and mechanical inspection, what I tell my buyers is sometimes they feel like, even especially if the house is newer, that they might be able to pass on that, because if the house is new, then it must be fine. And that's not necessarily the case. There can be surprises that are hidden. But also, even if the house really is in good shape, it's going to give you a punch list and an education on the property that you're buying. Those inspectors are going to take you room by room, mechanical component at a time, and explain to you, this is acceptable for however many years, but in about 5 years you might want to upgrade it, or this needs to be fixed right now, or this is how you maintain your furnace. And they give you, it's, a lesson. They school you on how to properly maintain your property. So it's like a punch list for maintenance. And if that's, if that's all you get out of it, that's huge.
Exactly. And just knowing the life cycle, I guess the life expectancy of a specific item in your home can be huge, because just because your roof is not leaking right now, for the inspector to tell you, oh, you have 5 years left, will help you budgeting, because if they say the roof has maybe 5 years left, they're not visionaries, but it's within 5 years you're gonna have to start thinking about a new roof. Mm-hmm. Therefore an expense.
Yeah, you want to be prepared going into it. And then the termite inspection is the other most common one, and that is sometimes optional for people. It depends on what kind of mortgage you're taking. If you have certain mortgages, the lender insists upon it. But it's also important because, especially here in Western Massachusetts, there's a lot of woodland areas, even in sort of more urban settings. We have a lot of trees, and that can lead to pests. And so we call it a termite inspection, but it's actually a wood boring infestation inspection, and it covers any critter that eats wood, basically.
Exactly. Carpenter ants, carpenter bees, and any insect that can potentially, ruin your house.
Yeah, and you want to know that they're there, and you want them out, because they're not your friend.
And then that inspection tends to be the cheapest as well. It's I see it around $70 to $90.
It is, and our standard Massachusetts contract anyway. In Massachusetts, it requires that the seller is responsible for the first $1,000 of treatment or repair. So if you spend just a little bit of money on your termite inspection and find out that there is an issue, then as long as it's under $1,000, the seller's going to take care of it anyway. It's sort of a it's not something you even have to discuss. It just gets taken care of. So that's really important to have settled.
Exactly. And even if you're not a buyer, but you are selling a home, I would strongly suggest that you would consider having a home inspection as well. In my experience, and I'm sure in Leslie's, a lot of buyers back out of homes after inspections, especially first-time home buyers, because they are, the inspector will give them a punch list of items, and sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming for somebody who's never owned a house and maybe been a renter or lived with their parents. So it is a little scary. So just to know exactly what you're up against is not a bad idea, and the cost will probably be right around the same.
Yeah, and I call it a post-listing inspection, and there are certain properties that I really kind of almost insist upon it, because if you're trying to sell, it depends on what the marketing plan for the seller is, but if you're trying to sell the property at the highest fair market value available, and let's say you do a post-listing inspection and you find out that there's an issue with the roof, you may be able to get it repaired for a minimum amount. It might not be that the roof needs to be replaced completely. It might be able to be satisfactorily dealt with a repair. And if the repair is done before their inspections, then the inspector will go up and say there's been a repair, the repair is adequate. Versus if the inspector goes up there and finds a problem and comes to their buyer and says, yeah, this roof is done, and now you're dealing with a way more expensive issue. So it can actually save the seller money in negotiations on the backside.
I totally agree. And just to as a seller, not to be blindsided, because as a listing agent, it's sometimes it's a pretty tough conversation to have when a buyer's agent has presented you a punch list of items that the buyer would like to have taken care of. And if the seller had absolutely no idea that these are things that are not up to par with their home, it is a tough conversation to have. Mm-hmm. So just to take that out of the equation and already have your seller aware of the issues, and it does not mean that you necessarily have to repair them right then and there. At least you will know what will come up at inspections.
Absolutely. Forewarned is forearmed.
Great point.
Yeah, and being as it's a buyer's market right now, the more education a seller can have, the better off they're going to be. So.
Exactly. And you don't want to turn off that buyer after inspection. You want to make sure that the buyer is comfortable with what they're buying, and everything is on the up and up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Nick, talk to me about Feng Shui.
Feng Shui.
Is it Feng Shui or Feng Shui?
The correct pronunciation is Feng Shui.
Feng Shui.
It is our next segment. It's something that we see quite a bit in decorating. I've been seeing it a lot more recently. Feng Shui literally means wind, water, but to translate it to everybody, it is really a system of laws that govern spatial arrangement. It has to do with the color scheme you choose inside your home office or building, all the way to actually the way the building is constructed. It is used across the world for all sorts of architecture, construction, including office buildings. And I have been seeing a lot more as something that people talk about when they're purchasing a home, especially if it's a discerning buyer. They have to have a little bit of a passion, I guess, for Eastern arts in general.
But and I'm no expert on this at all, but to my understanding, it also it's supposed to impact the way that you feel when you're in the space, right? The flow of energy within the home, is that part of it? Placement of mirrors and
exactly.
Beds not facing certain ways and desks facing, You know, I know there's a lot of sort of premises about what way you should stage the furniture.
Exactly. I guess it is a system of aesthetics where you do govern energy, and this energy is supposed to translate into better life all around. One thing that, you know, we could talk about feng shui for hours, and, you know, neither of us are actually experts in it, but it's something that, you know, it is important to know that buyers are looking at this as well as sellers when they remodel their home. One thing that I found interesting is colors on the walls, where you find that, you know, whenever I decorate anywhere I have lived or my own office, I tend to steer towards certain color schemes and certain specific colors, and to find out what the actual meaning within the feng shui was interesting to me. For example, we see in dining rooms quite a bit the color red.
Yeah.
And the color red means luck and happiness within feng shui, which is very interesting. What colors do you have? You know, that would be good to know. In my office, I tend to go yellows, and they say yellows is sunlight, cheerful, it's uplifting. And I guess in some ways that's maybe why I go that route in offices. It's also a great color for your kitchen, your living room, as per this feng shui compass.
My favorite color is green, just in general. I love green. And my kitchen's green, so I'm interested to see that it's the color of renewal, fresh energy, and regeneration.
Exactly.
And that's perfect for me. I moved to a condo and sort of started over again and decided, you know, I've always wanted a green kitchen. And so now I'm seeing, look, I started over and regenerated.
And they say if the color red is a little bit too much for you, orange is a good alternative. The color orange means social, open, and optimistic.
Orange doesn't work with my skin tone. We women have to worry about these things.
How the walls.
My personal feng shui.
Your personal feng shui. And the color blue is actually, if you have the color blue in your home, it actually means calm, tranquility, and peace. If you have the color purple, it means it's royal, it's mysterious. And it's technically recommended for decor type items like pillows and those kind of like accent items. And the color pink, I see pink a lot in girls' bedrooms. It's gentle, soothing, and loving. Apparently the color loves you.
Not my 7-year-old's color pink. It's like hubba bubba bubble gum in there. There's nothing soothing about it.
And if you walk through a home that you see the walls are gray, that means the energy they're trying to convey is more detached and neutral and metallic.
But these colors, I think, you know, we're talking about paint, but it could be, like you said, accessories as
Absolutely.
well. It doesn't have to be the whole wall. Maybe it could be an accent wall. Maybe it could be pillows or throw blankets. So there's ways to bring the colors in. So if you're looking to bring some of these more powerful colors, like a purple or a red or an orange, maybe it's too much for you on the wall. It might be fun to try it as a change of throw pillows, or, you know, swap them out for the seasons and see if you notice any difference in your energy.
Exactly. So apparently the way to change your mood may just be to change the color of your walls.
Perfect. I'm headed to Home Depot and get some paint. So, well, if any of you out there are utilizing feng shui in your decor or in your home styling, we'd love to hear from you. How are you using it? What colors do you prefer? Are you doing the whole system where you're putting the furniture in a specific arrangement? You know, let us know. We would love to hear from you and get some input from our viewers as to, you know, what's important to them also.
You can always Twitter us at TREW Show, TREW Show, or you can find us on the biznewschannel.com, which is the BUSINEWS channel.com.
Well, that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful day.